Dave Anderson here with the Fisherman magazine, and this week we kind of have dueling headlines. The first headline is that ice fishing has been phenomenal again this week, and it's kind of the only game going right now. And then the second headline is that we're expecting a big winter storm this weekend, which could have a positive effect on the fishing. Stay tuned for all that and more on this week's New England Fishing Forecast.
The Fishing News is sponsored by these fine partners.
So, this week's report is going to be a little different. I really don't see any reason for me to break it down by state. It's kind of the same story over and over again. So, just kind of got to run through it. Ice fishing, as I alluded to in the intro, has been phenomenal. And it's no surprise. You know, always those first couple of weeks when the ice first gets safe is when the ice fishing is the best. The fish haven't been fished for in a while, and things could be really good. And that has definitely held true for these last 2 weeks, and I kind of feel like it's going to continue. Something I've really been encouraged by, I've been monitoring recreational fishing, all different types, for at least 15 years now. The years that I've worked as an editor, and I don't think I've ever seen so much participation in ice fishing in my life. And one of the things that I really love this year is just how many kids are getting out and doing it. And even like the younger generation of adult anglers, teenagers and 20-somethings are getting out there. And I think we can credit social media with that. I mean, we can have a long conversation about what social media has meant to fishing. And if you asked me, a lot of the things that it has brought to the table for fishing have not been the greatest things. But I do think that it's opened doors as far as multi-species angling goes, and also as far as different disciplines of angling goes. It's opened a lot of closed-minded anglers, including myself, to other avenues. And so that's a credit to social media and the people who put themselves out there. And so that seems to be sort of a facet of what's going on right now. We're just seeing a lot of participation in ice fishing across the board. So, like the smelt camps up in Maine are producing fish now, and heard some good nights up there. We've heard a lot of good stories from like southern and central New Hampshire. A lot of ice fishing going on there for panfish and smallmouth bass and trout. Massachusetts has been really good throughout pretty much the entire state, except for the Cape and the approach to the Cape, where the ice is either iffy or just not safe yet. But interior Massachusetts has been very good. In fact, I touched base with Roy Leva today, and he said he's going to throw me a short video on the fishing that he's experiencing in interior Massachusetts. So let's throw it over to him right now.
Hey Dave, out here in central Mass, and the fishing has been spectacular. Shiners under a tip-up have accounted for a ton of bass and some big pickerel and some nice decent-sized pike. Also, the jigging scene has been really, really good. I've been using Northland's forage spoon tipped with the mousy or a waxworm. That's counted for some big yellow perch, some big crappie, and some big plate-sized bluegill. With this coming storm this weekend, fishing should really heat up, and I can't wait for it.
Thanks, Roy. Hopefully this will become a more regular thing. I know you're always out on the water. Definitely appreciate your dedication to the sport, and especially your agreement to send me a video today. So that's kind of the story there. We're hearing, everywhere, really. Whether it's pike on the Merrimack River, whether it's bass in some of the interior lakes like the A1 site, Whitehall, Quinsigamond. These areas are producing fish. Then way out in the western part of the state, like Oneota and places like that, it seems like every pond I hear about is producing fish right now. As we jump over the border into Rhode Island, things are... I don't have specific reports from Rhode Island. It's funny, I rarely ever hear from freshwater fishermen in Rhode Island. So if you're out there listening and you want to throw a report at me next week, I'd love to hear it. But the few people I know that are getting out and have shared photos with me have shown that it's the same story there. And the one thing I forgot to mention, out on the Cape, there is still a little bit of open water left. I talked to Ian from the Goose the other day, and he said, you know, he hit all of his usual spots, and most of them were iced over. He found one spot with some open water, couldn't pull a fish out of it. And, you know, with this cold weather that we've had over these last few nights, and, you know, we've had one temperate day. It was that Tuesday, about 45 degrees out. Other than that, every day making ice, you know what I mean? And so really, by the weekend, I think the ice on the Cape is going to be, I think every pond on the Cape, I should say, is going to be iced over. And we might start to see some safe ice out there, which is, you know, a relative sort of rarity out there. So that's something to look for if you're a hardcore ice guy. You can jump over onto the Cape and hit some of those ponds that are well stocked with trout or have some of the real big bass in them. And then as we move over into Connecticut, the focus has really been on pike, and there's a lot of different ponds in the state that produce pike, but really the central vein is the Connecticut River. The guys fishing the coves are getting a lot of nice fish right now. Seeing a lot of kids getting involved again, as I mentioned. Pan fishing has also been very good, and some bass mixing in as well, but that pike fishing has really been great this year. Good numbers of fish over 40 inches, which is, I mean, that's a phenomenal fish. And even greater numbers of fish, you know, from 30 up to almost 40 inches. Just a phenomenal fishery up there. We got safe ice on all the coves right now. It seems like dead bait is producing the best pike action right now, whether it's, you know, dead golden pond shiners or something more exotic like a sea herring or fall fish or something like that. If you haven't checked it out, in the January issue, check out Aaron Swanson's article on his 5 best baits for ice pike. It's a really great article, opens your eyes to some of the baits that not everybody talks about, and they are baits that work extremely well. I talked to Max from Fisherman's World. He wasn't able to put a video together for us today, but he did say that they've had some customers heading up to Bantam where they're doing well on pike. And it seems like every lake that's further inland than maybe 10 miles. So that's kind of true throughout Rhode Island and southeastern Massachusetts too. Once you get about 10 miles from the shoreline, might even be a little less of that in certain spots, the ice is safe. Below that, it's definitely a check and see type of a thing. And if you're within a mile or 2 or even 3 or 4 of the ocean, odds are the ice is not yet safe. So you really want to be careful. Unless it's a real small pond or a really sheltered pond, you might be able to find some safe ice there. But the further inland you go, the safer the ice is. And the fishing has been absolutely awesome. Speaking of the Connecticut River, let's throw it over to Aaron Swanson now. He's going to give us a little rundown of what he's been seeing on the Connecticut River this week.
Hey Dave, Aaron Swanson here, checking in from Connecticut with a report for the ice. Ice fishing has been fantastic across Connecticut, lakes and ponds for the last couple of weeks. We've had really good conditions here. It's been cold and dry, and that's everything that an ice fisherman can ask for. We've had some very good pike fishing here in Connecticut. There's been a number of quality pike caught. A lot of them have come from dead baits fished along bottom, especially along weed lines and drop-offs. We've also had the DEP stock a number of very large brown trout in the state, and you can read where those trout have been stocked in the report. And some of those fish are being caught, and they're turning into personal bests for many anglers. We're also seeing some very nice walleye caught from our larger walleye lakes. Really, right now, ahead of this storm, and even after the storm, we're seeing some excellent conditions for ice fishing here in Connecticut.
As far as saltwater fishing goes, not a whole heck of a lot coming in. We've got a lot of charter guys or party boat guys that want to run. The Black Hawk out of Niantic. You've got the Francis Fleet in Point Judith. You've got the 7Bs in Point Judith. You've got booked off charters out of Point Judith. All these guys they want to run. But on the days that they've had the weather, it's been bitterly cold. On the days that it hasn't been bitterly cold, it's been crazy wind. There are codfish out there to be caught. There's still sea bass around, even though those need to be thrown back. There's still scup around too, so you know the action is going to be good. It's just a matter of having everything line up and these guys being able to get out. So if that's something you're really interested in doing, I would get your name on a list. I'm sure they have some protocol in place so that when the day comes, they can alert you. So, get yourself on that list, especially if you got a flex schedule, and get out there and catch some fish, take some pictures and send them to me. I'd really love to hear what you guys are doing out there. That's really the report that I have for you guys this week. And then the only other thing, again, is that weather. I'm a weather buff. I have been since I was a little kid. Fascinated by the weather. Love big storms. And, I've followed the weather long enough to know that this one seems like it's going to be real. Of course, we have a few more days and things could change. But this doesn't seem like one of the ones that's going to fizzle out. This seems like one that has the potential to be one that we remember for a long time. The good thing is that has a very high probability of affecting the fishing in a very positive way. And again, the fishing has been very pike-centric. The ice fishing has been very pike-centric this year. And whether you're fishing up on the Merrimack River, whether you're on Quinsigamond or Chauncey, or you're on Bantam, you're on the Connecticut River, or any of these other ponds that have been stocked with pike, South Watuppa, any of these places, chances are the approach of this storm is going to ramp up their activity. So Friday's probably going to be a good day to get out there and target pike. It's also going to be a great day to target bass or any other species of fish. Once they feel that pressure coming, they seem to strap on the feed bag, and that's no different in the wintertime than it is any other time of the season. So if you got the time, I would batten down the hatches today and get out there tomorrow. And as I say every week, if you're not a subscriber to the Fisherman, I would head over to the website, check out the free content we have on there. There's a lot of different stuff on there. We're covering really the whole northern half of the East Coast. We got articles, we got reports, we got videos, we got all the stuff you need. If you're not interested after seeing all that, at the very least, give me a subscribe here on YouTube. Hit that like button and hit that subscribe bell thing down there so you get a notification every time we post a new video. And good luck fishing this week. Good luck with the storm. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you guys next week.
Steigercraft boats, built by people who fish our waters. Serious anglers choose Steigercraft for their 40 years of boat building experience right here in the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic. Visit steigercraft.com for a dealer near you.